Hi, this is Mrs. Allen, and in this video we are going to be discussing population, sample, and variable. The first term we are going to talk about is population. Population is data collected from all possible subjects or items that we are interested in. Data collected from everything or everyone. Sometimes this might be called a census. So a population is the entire group of individuals or instances from whom we want to learn. So here we have a picture of the state of Ohio. Our population would be every person that lives in the state of Ohio. Our next term is sample. It's data collected from only some of the subjects or items. A sample is part or a portion of the population, and many samples would make up the population. So it's a subset of the population examined in hopes of learning about the population. Before, our population was every person that lives in the state of Ohio, so our sample will be some of the people that live in the state of Ohio. Our next term would be a unit. A unit is a single entry, individual, or item. All the items of interest in a sample are called a sampling unit, and all the items of interest in a population are called a population unit. So here we have an experimental unit, an individual in a study for which or for whom data values are recorded. So in our example of Ohio, one person that lives in the state of Ohio would be our experimental unit. Okay, so let's look at an example. We're going to ask 50 Ohio residents if they voted in the last election. Our sample would be the 50 Ohio residents that we ask about the last election. Our population would be all the people that live in the state of Ohio. Our sampling unit would be each individual Ohio resident we ask about the election. And our population unit would be each individual Ohio resident. Now would be a good time to start talking about bias. Any systematic failure of a sampling method to represent its population is bias. Biased sampling methods tend to over or underestimate parameters. It is almost impossible to recover from bias, so efforts to avoid it are very well spent. Some common errors include relying on voluntary response, where people just respond on their own. Under coverage of the population, not asking enough people or getting enough items in your sample. Non-response bias, where some people might not care about the topic, they might not respond. Or response bias, where people care too much about the topic and respond and sway your data. Okay, so let's try an example on your own. Here we are interested in which presidential candidate 100 college students prefer. Try to come up with a sample, population, sampling unit, and population unit. Pause the video and write down your answers. When you have completed this, restart the video and check your answers. So here, our sample would be the 100 college students that we ask about the presidential candidates. The population would be all college students in the United States of America. Our sampling unit would be each college student that we ask, and our population unit would be each individual college student. Our last topic is variable. Variables are the items of interest that we are interested in from the sampling unit or population. Sometimes it's called a characteristic, can be a person, thing, or idea. A variable holds information about the same characteristic for many cases. We're going to discuss categorical variables, quantitative variables, identifiers, and ordinal variables. The first one we're going to talk about is categorical variables, a variable that names categories with words or numbers. So an example might be having people tell if they are male or female, having people list what state they live in, having people say if they are married or unmarried, or having them give you their phone number. All of these would be examples of categorical variables. The next one is quantitative variables, a variable in which the numbers are values of measured quantities with units. So an example might be how much something costs, or how much money somebody makes, or how long or big something is, or how fast or slow a car is going, its speed. The next one is an identifier variable, a categorical variable that records a unique value for each case, used to name or identify it. So an example of this might be a person's social security number, their student ID number, or if you're ordering something from a company, your customer ID number. The last one is an ordinal variable. The term ordinal can be applied to a variable whose categorical values possesses some kind of order. So an example might be if you go to the hospital because you don't feel well, they might ask you to rate your pain from 1 to 5. 1 being wonderful and 5 being horrible. So you would tell them how you feel with a number attached to a feeling. Alright, let's try an example of this on your own. Classify each variable as either categorical or quantitative. This is an example for track and field. So you are going to classify name, year, school, time, and distance. Pause the video and write down your answers. When you are finished, restart the video and check your answers. Okay, so looking here at our example, people's names would be categorical. The year they ran the race would be categorical. The school they are from would be categorical. The time, how fast they ran the race, would be quantitative. And the distance in this case will be categorical because it names the actual race the person was in. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope it will help you understand population, sample, and variable a little bit better. Thanks.